you were just involved with the whole relationship as it evolved.
Exactly.
And the metamorphosis was part of your lifestyle.
Right.
And so, how do you actually become an authorized statesman? Or
all right. Well, I was there, and the vice president's son for Tanzania at that time, the vice president of the country, newly elected country, because I was there 3 days before they got their independence, was Mr. Kawawa from Zanzibar. And the Tanganyika, Zanzibar, and Pemba came together to make the United Republic of Tanzania. And under the British colonial rule.
You went on to become quite a influence in Newark, in particular Essex County. This was the first time that I've ever known you to take on a role as a government official here. Had you ever had that kind of status?
I didn't need it because I was the director of the Third World Trade Institute in Harlem 15 years. During my tenure, I had 15 heads of state from different countries around the world come there. We made it a pilgrimage. Nelson Mandela was there in 1990 in my building. We had 200,000 people on 125th Street, river to river. I had 3 to 4 presidents a day when it comes to the General Assembly in New York. So I didn't have to, but me going from transformation to job, my last job was in Essex County, but I've been overseas. I've been to every African country at least twice in my lifetime. I've been throughout the Caribbean for the Caribbean Basin Initiative, headed by Congressman Raymond. So I had my share of going. But the thing is that was so beautiful about it, I never dreamt that I would be the member of the family to go, because my father and his brother and all them were cooks with Marcus Garvey.
Really?
Yes, sir. They was with Marcus Garvey. My father never left the front porch. But I went over there for him and all of my ancestors who never left the front porch. My daughter that you just seen a minute ago that was here, I took her when she was 5 years old. It's the guest of the president of Tanzania, East Africa.
You only have one child?
No, I have 6 children.
Okay.
But every one of them have been to Africa. You know.
What, you had 3 boys, 2 girls?
3? No, you had it. 3 boys and 3 girls.
Oh, 3 girls.
That's right.
Okay. So this is very impressive, the relationship to you not only having the very important role of handling different types of issues relating to different types of countries, but you also was able to raise a family.
Oh, yeah.
Why did you get involved in local politics?
Well, I got involved in local politics because most of the people here knew me before I was all this traveling and being with the presidents and being with the UN and all this other kind of stuff. And I never lost roots, just like here. My village was East Orange. You can never grow up in a village. I don't care where you go from East Orange, but you always will be from East Orange, Essex County. So you got a moral obligation to be with those people, who's with the members of your family, who help you get to the point where you can go to these countries and sing. So that's what happened. I betted for it. I could have been in Tanzania or somewhere right now, but it was too far from my family and my support team and my friends and people like yourself who I care about. That's a long distance to be away.
The thing that was more interesting to me, because as you know, I took on a role of becoming a candidate for county executive, and at that time, you were still actively working in the administration. Can you share with us exactly what that role was?
I was the director of affirmative action and economic development for the county of Essex.
And that role in itself was to identify with what?
Yeah, well, we're talking about affirmative action, making sure that our people got their share of the opportunities in Essex County. You understand what I'm saying? In economic development, we were the first Afro-Americans to ever be in charge of the director for the county. I am it.
Is that right?
Yes.
And you were the first to ever be involved with it from that capacity.
That's right.
And you brought on a number of different incentives in order to apply a relationship that needed fairness. Tell us exactly what that was.
Well, it was a twofold thing. It needed to be fair here in Essex County, New Jersey, and so forth and so on. But it was many opportunities for fairness on the international set. Because people would say they can't find no job, but if you just go sit here in Essex County or East Orange or wherever you talk about you can't find no job, you ain't never gonna find it. We live in a global society. Jobs are wherever you want to go. You just have to have the audacity to live there and go there. I was young when I started off at the UN and going to all them countries, man. That's the first time I had ever been to Africa. And the first time I ever been to Africa is I was with the new president, Julius Nyerere, and a travel delegation to all the different countries on the East Coast there in East Africa. It's part of his entourage. And that's why he named me Belozi, because they didn't see no Afro-American. When I was there, man, I was left here on Pan Am. You know how old them planes were, right?
Yeah.
And I was the only Afro-American on the whole dang on plane, and the plane was sold out. I kept looking around like, wait, man, this don't make no sense. Where's all my people? Because that days you didn't have a direct flight. You went from here, JFK, to Roberts Field in Liberia. From Liberia, you went up there to Egypt, and from Egypt you went to Kenya, and from Kenya you finally got to Tanzania.
How long did it take?
Man, them days we was in a propeller, we wasn't even in no jets.
Wow.
Think back when 1961. Took a long time for me to get there. But I went with somebody who was very important and never told me his importance. He was just a good friend, and I liked him. He was a brother from Africa. We became good friends and whatnot. And you know, back in them days, the people from here, they didn't even know what to think about the Africans coming here and whatnot. Or many of them didn't even think they was African. I never forget the Malcolm told us once. If a chicken was born in the oven, it wouldn't make him no different than anything else born in the oven. He's still a chicken. Because he was born in the oven, he don't become a turkey. And whatnot. So this was plain. We was African people. My father's been with Marcus Garvey and all them people, man. We was going home to Africa. Wow. They didn't even have to pay me nothing. That's how happy I was.
Right.
But the boy was so nice to me. Father was the vice president of the country. When we got off the plane and we was the last ones to get off, there was bands and limousines and stuff. And I said to him, Paul, there might be somebody important on this plane. And he just smiled at me. He said, yeah, it is. And when he walked down the stairs, the ladies started singing and they started beating the drums and whatnot. And he moved on the side and told him, I brought one of our brothers home. His father came up there and hugged both of us. I said, man, I thought I was in a dream. I thought I was in a dream. I came way out of here, all these miles, listening to my father preach about Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, all the different people. Because Elijah Muhammad, at that time, was Elijah Poole. And he was one of Marcus Garvey's cubs. All these great leaders you hear about. And here I was seeing them face to face, not in the Shaw bookstore, but face to face, the new leaders of Africa. And I've been doing that ever since. And I've been welcome ever since. One of my titles that I had, about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I became the presidential envoy from Liberia to the United States under old corrupt Charles Taylor.
Okay.
So I left that because my father's people was from Liberia. Up there in Robertsport, Great County, Carmine. That's where they were from.
Okay.
So I just had opportunities and opportunities, and when somebody of importance came to Tanzania or somebody came to the UN or wherever I was, they always would call me in the room and say, this is all our young brothers that finally came home.
Wow. You also, to me, was very close to Donald Tucker.
Donald Tucker was my main man. Now, what happened with us with Donald Tucker, that's when we was in the Committee for Unified Newark, United Brothers, and my organization was the BCD, Black Community and Development. We put all the security for the Black Power conferences, and we did all the whatever. And Tucker was one of the guys that we was told by Maulana Karenga, who was our boss from Los Angeles, that we got to make sure that his brothers are right and nothing happened to them. That's what we did. We did our duty.
One of the inspirations, I've actually now designated the Essex County Coordinator for the Black Issues Convention. The Black Issues Convention is going to be celebrating its 30th year.
Man, David, that was one powerful organization. And I love that brother Donald Tucker. Me and him were very, very, very close. We fell out a couple of times about different issues, but now you look at them, they're humorous. Because Donald Tucker wanted to put in his dashiki and his talisman and all that stuff and go out campaigning. And Marlon said, you got to take him to a store and buy him some clothes. He got to have a jacket, he got to have some ties and whatever. He can't be dressed up like us. We will never get the votes.
Is that right?
Tucker was a wonderful guy.
Wow.
Wonderful guy. It broke my heart. And he was very close to our Kwanzas.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, because when we had Kwanzaa, the first Kwanzaa we had here in New Jersey, Donald Tucker was there with us.
You were part of the planning team with Maulana?
Oh yeah, I was not only part of the training team with Maulana, but the committee for the Congress of African People. I was the international representative at the United Nations.
How did that happen? You know, how did you?
Because you become scarce because nobody else wanted to participate in that. See, my whole situation was different because my father said that blackness needed to be taught first in your house by your grandmother and those people who know the truth if they ain't read the book and can stand. Reinforcing your religious institutions, that black people had a lot to do with religion all over the world. And last, but not least, it needed to be taught by us how we can raise ourselves up from where we were. Because when we first got on the long ships coming here, we were Africans. But when we landed, what would we become? Slaves. We have been all Africans all our lives. But we didn't know nothing about being no slaves. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
And they even complicated the whole thing by dropping off most of the slaves in the West Indies. They didn't drop all the slaves off here in America. The West Indies first. And then came on up.
You are talking encyclopedia when it comes to black culture and the relationship of it. I'm looking at a way in which we can come up with a concept of being able to deliver a true understanding of the type of way in which diversity has affected the urban community in the American lifestyle. In essence, give me an idea of exactly what you think has been in terms of the transformation of the development of the immigrant and a community of migrants.
Yeah, well, you see, what the problem is, when we had the Black Power movement, which we were, with our organization, was one of the people there, you know, and Stokely, all of us was together and so forth, and so we made the Congress of African People for our people to do and whatnot. Then we started dealing with other people who looked like us out the world. We lived in a global society, but it was a long time ago. You could make none of these people here believe anything about the African. They thought they were separate and apart. They didn't even think they was Africans, and many of them didn't want to be Africans. Right? Because if a cat was born in an oven, that don't qualify him to be a biscuit. He's still a cat that is born in an oven.
So, we're looking at the way the relationships exist. One of the things that I was talking to Mayor Smith is coming up with a way in which Irvington is a melting pot of different kinds of origins.
Well, I know he told you we went to China together then.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but we always been reaching out. We were Pan-Africans when it wasn't popular. We was Pan-Africans when they were shipping all our people away, Robert Williams to China, this one, that. Because we didn't have no main agenda other than raising the level of the conscience of our people to have a better day for the children and their grandchildren. That's for my grandchildren, grandpa. And my granddaughter that was sitting here one day, the teacher wrote a note home. And she said, "You will be happy to know that your granddaughter told me today that you're the king of all of Africa." I started laughing. But this was she really thought. They had made me king in 2 villages, one in Ghana and one in Cote d'Ivoire. See, I have my own village.
Really?
In Cote d'Ivoire. Azareti. And my name there is Nana Kablan, and I was put there by the president of Cote d'Ivoire. Then I became Nana Kwabinache under Jerry Rawlins, because I did most of Jerry Rawlins' bookings and stuff when he came here into America. Because we got to know all the guys. They start looking for us. We made it possible, and people would tell you this, that we made it popular for the Africans to come here, but unpopular not to visit home. That's why we had all the presidents. Before then, the only president that you had from outside of here was Fidel Castro, who stayed at Hotel Teresa. But between that time and the time that we left, we had 57 heads of state. From the Caribbean, from everywhere. And the agenda was always the same. To raise our level of conscience of our people wherever we were, and try to return our people back to the traditional greatness that everybody had marked against. Because you couldn't be a king and a slave at the same time.
Right.
And they had us for a slave.
How do we build the kind of embassy that you created? And I think even more so, does it exist?
No, well, the thing is, in an unselfish way, I just wanted to do what my father said what was necessary for us to do as a people. The competition never was between me and you. Competition was for the neighboring cities and so forth. He said our competition for us to do better than our forefathers have done before us. And if we do that, then we have been successful in our lifetime.
Take away the politics. Because that's politics. Politics is competing. I got the better idea. Maybe the same idea, but it's got to be my idea.
That's the ego.
Right.
And we have a lot of ego with us.
Well, obviously we've been conditioned to.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we have a lot of ego with us, not because of our ancestors, not because of the institutions that we built. We had the ego between each other, that you build a better building, that this one did a better so forth and so on. But all of us had one thing in common. We was all slaves. The last time our people was fully employed in America was slavery, and nobody got paid. Think about that. It's an unemployment day, and they always got something for us to read about or debate about, how our families broke them up, how our family would break them up. Well, who broke them up? The manifest from Goree Island in Senegal is that all the male slaves come to Louisiana. All the children under 21 was dropped off in Haiti. And all the sisters, all our sisters, was dropped off in Brazil. That was the manifest, brother. Yeah.
During what period of time?
Well, slavery started really getting together since 1509 to 1865.
And that was the strategy to separate and then populate?
Yeah, because if you didn't know nothing about where you was going, what danger would you be? And at that particular time, if you think about the east coast of Africa, there's two major places that cotton was grown and was the finest cotton in the world. One of them was Egypt, and the other was Tanzania. And what made America strong? The cotton.
Right.
So that's where you start first making slaves come from. You round them all up, Tanzania and so forth and so on. What they just was brought there to show the brother like me and you how to plant it, how to pick it, and so forth and so on. America couldn't stand up for whatever was done in them days. The oldest university in the world, did you know where it was?
No.
Timbuktu, Mali.
Timbuktu.
Socrates, the Aristotle, studied there.
Wow.
People from all over the world was coming there.
In relationship to the history of education, it seems to me that it was pretty much set within a faith-based environment. When it comes down to faith, there's a competitive relationship as well. Is it because of confusion or fallacy?
Yeah, well, it's a combination of both. Because if you think about it, it's crazy. Of course, the brothers who is a Christian want to be against the Muslim, and the brother who is a Muslim want to be against the Hindus and so forth and so on. But the person that never get into trouble about religion is who? The atheist, the one who don't believe. He gets free ride. You'll never have no debate about him on TV. What about his religion? He ain't had none. But he could just ride freely back and forth in any institution and whatnot, where some of us would be punished if we were certain institutions.
Alienated. It's the same thing, fraternity. You're not part of this, you're not part of that.
But it's all fantasy because we have not reached our goal. And that is to disseminate the information so that our children can be doing better than we do.
But what information are we in Bella to disseminate?
Well, we got to talk about what we have done in the past. That we are capable of doing some big things in this world. You know, but that's a challenge for us.
Right.
You know, and it's funny about what happened to us with the Black Power movement or any kind of thing like that. Each one of our groups had different goals. Some of them wanted to be able to go to school with white folks. So when they was able to make that a place, they quit. The supposed to be status that we was had. Marriages, they quit. So as you went down the line, everybody had a reason to quit, but nobody really thought they had a reason to stay. Because as I sit here now and I keep smiling at you, you're one of the most valuable things we can, because you had to communicate our message. But not just to a group of people here, all over. The first message is that we are all the same people, just divided up in different ways.
Right.
We're the same people, man. You're the same brother that put the last brick up on the pyramid. But they won't give you a job in construction under affirmative action in some of these places here?
Because you haven't paid dues.
Dues to who?
Well, dues to the bureaucracy.
That's what I'm saying. So how could you be many times for something that's so badly against you?
Yes, right. Right. How can you be supportive?
So all my life I knew I'd be doing just what I'm doing now.
Right.
I don't care what kind of opportunity comes, but if it wasn't an opportunity for me to relay the level of conscience of my people, it was no longer an opportunity. That's all I ever want to do is what I'm doing now. Explain what was explained to me by leaders of countries and everywhere.
We recognize those concerns, and in many instances, people who want to try to make change are often dealt with through many different ways, whether they're barriers or alienation or digging dirt from your past out.
Yeah.
the concept that we're thinking about coming up with, and I wanted you to give me some insight on it, was to develop a cultural environment that each one of the cultures could come and make an investment in. And then we begin to learn each other.
That's what it is.
And find ways that we can be able to develop a better community.
Which, again, goes back to what I said to you earlier. You're very valuable in this whole process. Because maybe what it is with brothers like y'all that used to need to be located in other parts of the world. And what is the African report this week? We ain't got no kind like that. You know what's happening, so forth and so on. What is your affiliation with all the oil? And sometimes 65% of the oil that comes from the African nations and all the other people. Now, where do we get the discount on oil?
No.
No. Okay, the diamonds. They sell the diamonds over New York, right?
Right.
And they say that sell it from different people, the people that monitor the diamonds and sell the diamonds. And it ain't of our religion and whatnot where the diamonds come from. You don't have no diamonds in some of these places where you see Belgium have a diamond. So why ain't the brothers here selling the diamonds, which is a mix-up on both of our sides? The brothers here buy diamonds, but they don't buy it directly from the brothers. They got somebody in between who don't look like us and who won't take the money and put it in a bank and build anything that look like us.
Right.
So, and it takes a long time. My father says that we must build the bridge, block by block. And even if me and you don't get the opportunity to ever cross the building, we build it for our children. So what some of the people be sitting up there telling us, oh man, that's too long. We can't build no bridge from there to there. Hey man, have you lifted up a block to do anything? You talk so much about the can't do people. The can do people go home.
Right.
Because they don't believe they can do anything.
If I wanted to establish something comparable or similar, or get the kind of results that you did, how might I start?
Well, you have to start in a different time because the time zone has changed tremendously. But we haven't kept up with the time, the global time mark to come up. For instance, right now in one of the most popular places for films and movies are shot in Nigeria. So now all these brothers have been here all this time doing stuff. Why ain't they over in Nigeria making some money? They couldn't make none here. Because we have something about us that is funny. We'd rather face the difficulties of the present than the uncertainties of the future. See, first of all, we don't believe we can do nothing. You know, and when you used to go through the movement and they would tell you about all the penalties you get for out speaking and so forth and so on and so forth and so on, it makes me smile today. Because I came up through the movement and whatnot and gone better than some of the people that is talking about I was going to get trouble in the movement. I went to jail for demonstrating and whatnot, but I ain't been in no prison for no army and all so forth and so on. I recognize wherever I went. Somebody's always waiting for me on the other side at the airport with a salute or the VIP, so forth and so on. And they said I was going to get in trouble. I like that kind of trouble. You're trouble with me. But the thing is, I wasn't afraid to face whatever troubles everybody was talking about. Because we had so many troubles right here. So it couldn't be no worse going to some other places, could it?
Well, when you say that, ultimately, when we're looking at the idea of making a cross-communication and relationship to a transcontinental kind of involvement, we still have problems here as far as being an urban culture.
Sure.
And there are problems around the world as far as being an urban culture.
Yes.
Can't we be able to connect with the local issues to create a dynamics of a bridging?
What they do with other institutions. They did it with the United Nations, but they brought all countries together. So how come we can't do it with communications where we get brothers and sisters from all over those countries that we're talking about to own a television station, a satellite. You got all this equipment. So why are we trying to do something like that?
You would support such an effort? You would support such an effort?
Well, yes, if it's going to raise the level of the conscience of our people and for our kids and everybody to do better, I thought everybody was down with that. I would have joined the Black Power movement and all that other stuff in the first place.
Right. And looking at it as far as it not being a priority.
Okay, but what I was saying, we should be able to have a delegation of people like yourself, who's in the communication field, and take a person like me who maybe be able to take you to the president of some of these countries right here and tell them we want some of that oil money to build such an institution that we're talking about. But we don't want that. We still talk about we want our 40 acres and a mule. Damn, the mule. I would just like to have the 40 acres because there's no telling what's on it. See, we gotta be, we can't be scared to take the steps that's gonna make us there because you got other examples that work. Look at China. China is the second largest community and economic community in the world. And a long time ago, when you said get something made in Japan and China, it was supposed to be cheap and people didn't even want to wear the sneakers if it said made in China or whatnot. And the United States owed how much money? All the money that we spent on the war at Iran and whatnot, we borrowed money from China.
Why do we do that if we have so much?
Now, what if we could borrow some money from somebody else like that to build some of the institutions we talked about?
Right.
Because anything that we can say for 1,000 years can be wiped out in 30 seconds of television time.
Right. It certainly may not even have any value at all.
But we don't get our message through. That's why I was so happy to hear that you want to come here and just talk in general about whatever. And all I can do is tell you the life skill. I can tell you how good God been to me and so forth and so on. Because it's true. It's true that. I'm 72 years old. I ain't never, everybody know me. They be laughing. Oh, he just doing all crazy stuff his father used to do. And they were, that's right, they may have been crazy. But they had a dream. I'm trying to continue.
To continue the dream.
Yes. The objective is to return our people back to the traditional dreams. I'm trying to still hold on to that dream. In all aspects, health, wealth, or whatever. Return us back the way we were. Because we couldn't have built those pyramids with wells, less depths, man. So how did they do it?
You completely believe that the type of structure, the welfare system within itself, is changeable?
Yes, it's changeable. The more that we have, the less we have to beg for. And you remember one of the things in Juneteenth and all the other things that we talk about, the slaves were trying harder than the landlords that they had to leave. Oh, we can't leave, Mr. Wilson and whatnot. They've been so good to us. I remember when they gave me 50 cents when Timmy was born. Now, how would of all the things that's happened in our lifetime everywhere, that's the only thing that you can remember about Mr. Timmy's kindness? He gave you 50 cents. And we're still waiting for somebody to give us another 50 cents.
But there are ways that we can
we shouldn't do it. We got to do something for ourselves. We got to come together, just like you have here. We got to get some other brothers from around the global society, sit down and let them tell their story too. Okay. You got to remember the word that you use every day, and we always talk about his story. Well, where's our story? His story? Where's our story? It don't make no sense. Because Hannibal crossed the Alps. went from Musa Touré and all them went from West Africa to Portugal, and occupied it for 800 years. Made a great society, librarians, religions, and everything else. Now, if they could do that 500 or 600 years ago, and technology has got to the place it is now, what have we been doing? In between. We go back to the programs that we wanted to see. You go to school with this one, you can do this one, you can vote, and you don't even know how long that's going to be because the Voters' Rights Act just came out in 1965. And each 4 or 5 years, we have to vote. And maybe one day they'll come up there and get enough votes that we can't vote no more. So then we go back another 500 years? And the brothers over there, they got to step up to the plate too, because a lot of that oil and stuff that is could be your great-great-great-grandfather's land. And they just sell it off to whoever they want to sell it off to.
Again, back to that whole cultural relationship of control.
I'm telling you, man, sometimes it makes you want to cry, but you're so busy doing whatever you're doing to make things work.
Right.
It toughens you up at the same time.
Well, you know, I appreciate you for sharing this with me, especially the earlier relationships of understanding you.
And you know what? You've helped me too, because now I at least have a cornerstone to try to get the other brothers around the world for us to have our meeting on communication as we see the world.
Okay.
And I'll be getting in touch with you and asking you to get in touch with other colleagues, and I'll be trying to get the brothers from the West Indies and all the other people that we've met through time to see if we can get our message out.
Okay.
Because we ain't getting it out.
Right. And we need to do
it doesn't make any sense, man. I was hurt so bad the other day. That they went there and took Kiss off the radio. How did they have learned that they Kiss off the radio? It doesn't even make no sense. They ain't took the other liberal, and they don't get kicked off the radio. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right.
But how come we can in 2012 get kicked off the damn radio?
Just like that.
And
it is incredible.
And what it is that makes me even madder than that, most of our people don't even give a damn if they was kicked off or not.
Right. Where's the consciousness at in really wanting to relate to what's necessarily important?
They don't know what's necessarily important.
Culture-rated or conditioned?
Just in general.
Just in general.
See, because what you're doing now, right this minute, you're talking and you're going to show this to whoever it is, and hopefully we'll change somebody's mind.
Right.
But if they never hear any of these words and they hear about our situation, they think everything's okay.
True.
You follow me?
Yes, I do.
And then we got a job to do. We ain't need to hear about no disco and doing all this other kind of stuff. Man, we got some work to do to make our life better for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren than we had. And we feel pretty good today because some of the dreams that my father and all of them had, we ain't carried them out. Not all of them, but at least we ain't got started. And we need everybody to come aboard. The people that we have now, that we have in the senior citizens, we need to get a forum every Saturday or whatever. Let them be the panel. And let the school kids come in and meet their real grandmoms. Because our people are scared of the grandkids.
Yes.
Yes, they are. But if we could have them talk to each other and tell them how things were and how people made sacrifice, maybe we can change some of their minds. But what do you come through? What you got? Communications.
Well, you know what? I thank you very much for sharing this much. We're going to continue this conversation.
Yeah, well, I'm going to continue because I'm going to be right on you every time them brothers come in from the UN or we don't know what you call. You can just start expecting some invitations and for you to come in and talk over there and interview over there.
I'm looking forward.
Because, man, ain't nothing, and you know in your heart that is too many of our people in jail for us to be the minority population in the United States. And something else got to be wrong too.
Right.
Because there's so many of us in jail, brother.
Right. The jail itself is the whole idea of the way in which
and we still going for, look what they did to us in Sanford.
The jail is a slave system.
Look what they did to us in Sanford. Did you think that 2012 somebody could come and kill somebody else in your neighborhood,
right,
and so forth and so on, and they want to set them free?
Right.
We should give an incentive to the other people that they can go around killing black people, and you still can have the same luxuries you was having with Emmett Till and all the rest of the thing.
Yes.
What is that saying for the world?
Right.
Especially for our world. And that don't mean that what we need to do is get up there and whatnot. We got a lot of good things that happen to us and so forth and so forth, but we have more bad things that happen to us than the good things. We ain't talking about get armed and let's go to Sanford. We say let's change some of these laws where we don't have to do that. The politicians ain't that what they're supposed to be doing? And we got entirely too many laws that was written and we ain't had nothing to do with none.
You know, you think about
Complete.
that when you say the idea of us not engaging in ways in which we can create an equality of justice, that we settle for it primarily based upon obedience.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that's all we've been since 1509. People crying because I had to miss Mr. Henry. You still got Lynchburg, Virginia, and that's Richard Lynch and all that. Let's make a slave. They had books, all sorts of stuff like that. It's against the law for you to have a drum when you came into America. They was killing everybody who could beat a drum.
What do you mean?
When you was a slave and you got off the boat, the first thing they took from you was the drums. If they catch you making a drum or doing any of that kind of stuff, the whole time of slavery, it was death. That was one of the laws they made.
Why?
They want you to communicate, and the white man don't even know what you're talking about.
So we communicated through the drum.
Sure we did. And songs in the field when we were singing. Listen, man, we was intelligent people. We knew how to get the message together. Now, we've always been religious people. So some of the people that came from Ethiopia and so forth and so on, the Coptic people and so forth, there's more attuned to the Christianity than the brothers that came with the long sword from Mali and all the other kind of stuff. But they still respected religion. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
They respected each other's religion and so forth and so on. Now, how come now, in the last 10 years, you got the Hutus and the Tutsis killing up thousands and thousands of their own people where they had been living with them for the last 500 years? How come they didn't kill nobody back then?
Like
somebody agitated that.
What is it?
No, somebody agitated that. You get in the room with some brothers and you tell them that, you know, man, y'all more intelligent than this group over here. Y'all should be running everything. But that's a political problem. Why would you come from somewhere else trying to tell somebody else how to run this stuff? Right?
Would you say that globally, we've actually lost our sense of identity as being black?
That's what we did.
So it's not just an American problem.
No, it's a problem that we have because our people, been into wanting to be. The closer you can be to white, the closer you can be to right. You have more incentives for everything. Look at the people that you have. Look at the politics that you have. They would trust light-skinned people more than they would dark-skinned people. Now, rescue me if I'm wrong. You just say, you know, well, I don't. I'm just telling you, I'm having this conversation interview based on my experiences in life, based on the teaching of my ancestors. This is all I know. This is all I really want to know. How to build my people up to do great things. Not only for their particular country, but for the world itself. Because we just 5 minutes from blowing the damn world up.
Right.
And you don't have nothing. There's too many nuclear bombs and machinery like that in the African countries too. For us not to manufacture none of it, so we buy it from somewhere. Africa don't produce no guns. Soon Africa will have 1 billion people. There's too many guns in Africa for us not to make none. So where do these things come from? Don't make any sense, do it?
No, it doesn't.
We got almost 1 billion people that don't produce one car.
So that's why the priority has to be internationally.
That's right. That's right. Because if you think about it, and you just look at it, if you go to all the places in this world where the brothers are, we form a bigger majority than the people here, who's making up the rules for everybody. And that's not a racist statement. It's talking about what happened to us and the things that we want to change. And you never, it's not about us getting an airplane, suicide bombing. I hate that idea of that. Because when you do the suicide bombing, you subject to kill any damn body. Everybody's not worthy of being killed. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're not talking about that. We talk about getting back to what was ours.
Right.
And that's just the deal. I hope I haven't kept you too long, but
no, it's
and we'll get a forum, and we get with you, and you start.
Like I said, you're working with me, and this is the first time that I tried this concept, and it's very important because I want to make it part of the Talking History involvement in terms of why it's so important. Why I'm so happy that you didn't hesitate when I asked you to allow me to recognize you at this first opportunity that we're going to put together that's going to deal with coming up with awareness of relationships.
Anything that's going to raise your level of conscience and help our people. I ain't even
humble.
I wouldn't give a triple crab a crutch if I owned a lumberyard. I'm staying to what I think, what I believe, and stuff, and how we can be helpful to make this world a better place than it was when we first got here. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But people rights is important. But my people rights are just as important.
Right.
See? And you don't even want to go back to the days of the soldier, where he had to be on a segregated base and couldn't get rid of the only thing, the job he could have is throwing the trash cans and whatnot. And what I'm trying to do is stimulate the mind. And you can go to any subject there is and find out where are we in that particular subject. From 1 to 10, where are we? And you won't find us 10 nowhere. But this whatnot is slowly becoming rage through entertainment and sports. Now you go there and you look at entertainment and sports and television, it look like the NAACP is playing the Urban League. But in that same place, Sanford, in Florida, don't you know that Jackie Robinson couldn't stay there? He had to go to another town where he placed the first black person to play baseball. He had to go to another place. I'm telling you, man.
So even then, till this day, nothing's changed. We haven't done anything. And we have so much gain. The Newark Freeholders Board, predominantly African American.
Yeah, but who runs it?
The Newark City Council, predominantly African.
Same thing, but the white people run all of it, don't they?
And then they fight each other for nothing.
Yeah, but I'm saying, it's good and bad in any race, any people. Just like we say and so forth and so on. But when you put things into law to hold down the people, it's a whole different subject. That means if you was good, you get the same penalty as the guy that was bad because of who you are. You understand what I'm saying?
Or guilty by association.
That's right. That's right.
And it's not discriminative.
No, but and the result, it's in my years of traveling and going to different places. It's unbelievable that when I used to go to places like in London or so forth and so on, and they said, I see you going to Kenya. So yes, sir. What you going there for? Now, you ain't got no business asking me why am I going to Kenya. You ain't paid my ticket. You ain't paid for my hotel. Why you wonder why I'm going to Kenya?
It's interesting. I was able, over a conversation, met a woman named Muriel Glassglove. And she's the ambassador for peace.
She belongs to the Moon. The Moon's group?
I'm not sure. I gotta learn it. I'm gonna meet with her.
Yeah, some young Moon. She's a Moon.
She's a Moonie.
Yeah. They made me ambassador there too. That's how I know that. Oh yeah. But the Moon, to show you the people, the Asian people and stuff. Once a year, they get as many black people as they can to marry the Koreans.
Oh.
Yeah, in Washington D.C. and everywhere else, man.
Right. No, I've seen that. But not all Koreans.
Well, they ain't put them together to marry the white folks. And the things that we're saying that you think is so sensitive that you will be able to get ahead trying to complete your mission, edit it out. You have the authority to do that.
Right.
When you go through your tapes and you in the editing room, you edit out what you want and what you want to you stay in. But some of us is in this thing that we ain't gonna say nothing bad about nobody. That's for fine attitude, but you ain't gonna get nothing from nobody neither.
Unless you have something to say.
Please, man.
Wow.
If you can't even talk, then what good are you? You like a grain of sand on the desert. If it wasn't for the other sand, they wouldn't even know you was there.
If I wanted to get UN status, would I have to be crowned a king?
No. You get UN status because what it is, when you say the UN status, it's different organizations, humanitarian groups and so forth and so on. And you can go in there with your structure saying what you want to do right now with this film. You want to do this and so forth, then you become a non-government organization, NGO, at the UN. And where you can speak to everybody who's a member of the United Nations. That's a nation, not talk about no little state here. We give up too much credence to the fact of where we are and so forth. It's not so much where we are as it is, what are we doing? You take the city of East Orange. It's the blackest city in America. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the blackest city in America.
When we say the blackest, we mean
no, all black
not
kids.
Not to say where they come from.
No, because it ain't got nothing to do with it. Your name came after you came here. Most people name the kid after they seen him. They don't name him before. What my son is going to, if I have a son, I want to name him Johnny. They ain't nobody put that down on no birth certificate.
No, but I mean, you have Haitians and you have...
Yeah, but the Haitians I told you the story about the Haitians. The kids were dropped off in here.
Yeah, they're still the same. But I mean, many of them have become immigrant.
Yeah, but we got changed to immigrant. The Irish that came here, the Italians that came here, all them people came here is what?
Immigrant.
So if they can be immigrants and change, why can't you do it?
Establish a vehicle for naturalization?
Any of the laws and stuff that we can do, we need to do it as a global society where everybody benefits from it. We ain't talking about suppressing nobody. We trying to get from under the suppression ourselves. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's just the deal. But I think we need some more. I'll talk to Marlon and I'll talk to all these people that we talk about. And we may need to have, instead of the Black Power Conference, you need a Black Media Conference.
Okay. Well, right now, I'm actually working with you like I said, I have that UN contact.
Okay.
And that is exactly the direction she shared with me.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I told her, I shared with Wayne that what I want to do is to create a urban cultural embassy.
You could do it.
Well, she says that an embassy is not the way to go.
Why?
I don't know. That's why I'm
Well, then nobody can take. Listen. You did something today that most people do. You called me up and said, "Where do you live at? Because this guy don't know he riding into stuff." And was that the right way to go? Yes, because you got here and you sitting here.
That's right.
So how's somebody going to tell you whether it's right or wrong if they don't even try it?
Okay. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing.
No, man. I'm glad I'm 70-something. Because it don't make any sense. You know, some of these things, and me and you debating and going through this. Now the kids, the Bloods and the, I'm listening to what I'm saying.
I understand.
The Bloods and the Crips don't know nothing we talk about and don't give a damn we talk about. Because they went from black to white to red and blue.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right.
And we thinking they're right.
Right. And we're giving them the credibility for it.
Yeah.
And telling them, well, it must be the best thing for you to do. Here's